Because then it looks weird in pictures.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Well, I really can't, I can't
You looking
tell.
at yourself?
What?
Checking yourself out?
Well, my hair falls down.
You don't see Disney with straight bordered lines. Everything's there.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, another fun fact for you, by the way. Here's a Disney fun fact before we start the show. When you go to Disney, the floors that you stand on, the concrete, the different areas, they are painted a specific color, specifically that way, to reflect off the buildings. So if you're standing by whiter, brighter buildings, the floors are darker. So when you take a picture, you're not washed out. They actually hired Kodak to come in and pick the exact color to paint each land's floor, so that when you're standing by a building, any place you're taking a picture, you get the best possible picture.
Wow. I mean, they thought of it all.
The more you know. Right? Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, good for Disney.
Hey, welcome to Outside the Virus. We just talking about stuff that's going on outside the virus because everybody's focused on the virus, or now maybe a little bit politics, right?
A little bit.
It's going back that way, but everybody's focused on that. We thought, well, there's things to cover that are not in the virus-related news world right now, and I got some good stuff for you today. You got good stuff?
I got a couple things. I thought we were keeping it short.
Oh. Well, then you better be quick.
My first one is Apple. This one's kind of fun. Apple shipped 2.5 million iPhones in China in March. According to government data, it had shipped only 500,000 phones in China in February. I misread that initially. See, I thought it was flipped. I thought it was...
Well, no, but so they sent more phones, right?
Yeah, they shipped more. But so the reason that I had taken that picture was, or the reason I had that news story was because people are saying, oh, there's less phone sales, less people using their phones. Conspiracy theory that...
But in fact, it was 4 times higher, right?
Yeah, it was actually way higher.
Wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they all got rid of their phones and it's the virus. They threw it away.
Yeah, I thought that was flipped, and I thought that was a little conspiracy.
Well, it's good
theory.
for them then, right?
That is good. That's good news that's good news for Apple.
That's seems like great news for Apple. They got well, it's earnings season, right? So Apple reports on a Tuesday. Let's see. We got earnings. Well, stock's up 4.5% here at the moment. Apple reports, later in the month, April 30th. Wow.
Well, that's big though. That's big. That's good for them.
I'll take it. Yeah, they've done well. I mean, year to date now down only 2% as of this taping here, midday.
Well, that's not bad.
Pretty good.
Only 2%. Well, then that would kind of tie into my next one, which is Amazon is actually up 22% year to date. My story on that is shares of Amazon rose nearly 4% to an all-new high. The e-commerce giant experienced unprecedented demand amid coronavirus-related shutdowns. You know, I know we're not supposed to say the word virus in this show, but that kind of ties in with yesterday. But the stock climbed 22% this year.
It's a blast off. The last 2 days have been just a blast off move, and I'll expand on that actually.
Go ahead.
For my topics here, it's earnings season, right? We've got Amazon reporting on the 23rd. So earnings season, just right now it's banks. Every bank in their mother's bank is reporting today, tomorrow, the rest of the week. But here's how this breaks down. A lot of people use the options markets. Do you use the options markets out there? Huh? I know you like them. But what's going on right now is option traders actually price in their expected moves, and the expected move for the average S&P 500 stock is 13.3%. What that means is traders are expecting that the day before earnings, the stock will be here, and the day that they report earnings, it will be 13.5% higher or 13.5% lower. Average stock across the entire S&P. That's your, you name it. I mean, that's every single stock from retail to whatever. So that's the average expected move. Do you think that sounds high or low?
It sounds like a lot. If that's average, that sounds like a lot for an average.
That's the average across the S&P 500. So actually, I went back 24 years, which is as far back as I could go, looking back at every single stock in the S&P 500. Go back 24 years, you never find a period where people expected that big of a move. It's just, think of it as uncertainty. We don't know if it's going higher or lower, but just in case, we expect 13% higher, 13% lower. 24 years back, you can never find another time where there was that average. So earnings season is going to be exciting is basically the moral of the story. To expand on, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, it sounds like it's going to be a wild one.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild one.
That's it. It sounds like it's going to be a wild one.
But to expand on your Amazon, so for Amazon specifically, so I just talked about all 500 stocks. Amazon specifically, the option market's currently pricing in a 7.1% move on earnings, meaning wherever it's at the day before earnings, the next day, plus or minus 7.1%. If you look back over the last 2 years or 8 total quarters, you get 3.7% was the average move. So the average move is 3.7%. People are pricing in 7.1%.
Wow.
What do you think you do with that?
I don't know.
You think they're like, so now what happens is traders are sort of stuck, right? Options traders, because the idea is, my first thought is we sell that. You just sell calls, puts, whatever you want to do, whatever your belief is, you got to be an option seller. But now the option buyers are actually thinking, well, 7.1% is not enough. It's actually going to be 10, 12, 13.3 like we just talked about. So the option buyers have a rare opportunity here because volatility goes up around earnings, so the option prices go up. So typically, if you buy an option right before earnings, then they report earnings, the price of your option falls, even though you may have got the direction right because of volatility, the expected move was priced in. Is the quick explanation. Anyways, so this is one of the rare cases where option buyers have a chance to actually make a profit if they're right on the direction. Option sellers have a chance to make a profit on the direction as well. That's Amazon. So you got anything else?
No, that's it on Amazon.
Okay.
That's it.
I'm gonna take over.
Yeah, this is all you.
Netflix. So if you look at Netflix, and these are just popular names. Amazon's in the news because of obviously what's going on with the virus, but Amazon in the news with new highs today. Netflix also in the news because people are sitting at home watching Netflix. That is also a 7.1% expected move, plus or minus. We don't know the difference there. The average first quarter earnings, which is what they're going to report, 4.86%. I don't know if this is way outside of like geeky land or what people want to talk about, but I just pulled up a few stocks to take a look at it. So that tells you the same thing. If you're right on the direction and you're an option buyer, you have a chance to make a profit despite the increased volatility. If you're an option seller and you're just kind of right, meaning it either goes sideways or the opposite direction of whatever you chose, nice, right? You have a chance to make a profit there as well from the volatility coming down. Last one's Boeing. Stock's down, it lost more than half of its value this year, right? Pricing in a 21% move on April 22nd, meaning they think it's going, you feel bad for your boy.
Yeah.
21% one way or the other based on earnings. In one day, that's the expected move. So, I mean, that's not odd, by the way. We've seen 20% moves, but could you imagine you wake up one day, 1/5 of the stock price is either gained or lost, just like that. I mean, that blows my mind. The average move over the last 5 years is 1.54%. So, you got the mic on? This is golden.
Yeah, the mic's on. Mic's on. We're going.
So 22%, 21% move. Average actual move was 1.54%. Huge earnings season ahead of you. That's the moral of today's story: is earnings and massive, massive earnings coming up.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a wild ride here.
It's going to be a wild ride. It already has started with the banks today with Wells Fargo or J.P. Morgan, and which is my pick.
In Stock Madness, right?
She's down today.
Yeah.
She's down. And you know what's worse is I got that going against Molson Coors.
Oh, yeah,
So-
that was your steady Eddie.
But the problem is that doesn't beat you. Like, I have to get J.P. Morgan across the finish line.
Yeah, I'm rooting for...
You're rooting for TAP
Yeah.
because if you've seen our Stock Madness, I've got J.P. Morgan versus Molson Coors. Don't ask me why. That's the way it panned out.
What a matchup.
Yeah,
What a matchup that is.
It's the turtle versus the rabbit, right? That's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
Come on, rabbit. What else you got?
That's it.
That's all
I
you got.
Those are my two.
I got one more. You're going to see a chart pop up here while we're talking banks and semiconductors. I'm going to share this with you just because you know what I always say. You need the banks, you need the semiconductors, and or I say bank and tech to get the market to move higher. On the screen, you can see the S&P 500 moving higher to start the day. You can see financials starting higher to move for the day. And this is throughout the day here. The financials started to bleed lower. What do you notice about the market?
Steady Eddie.
Nothing. It couldn't get anything accomplished because the banks started to pull back. You can't actually get anything accomplished. The banking stocks and the tech sector make up 35% of the S&P 500. So if you have one of those weak on the day, which the banks were to start the day, all of a sudden you got a market that can't go anywhere because one of the bigger areas or the bigger weights is pulling it down. So I want to share that with you. That's what's happening today. I'll cover it on the closing beat as well, but rather interesting to actually see it in real time. And that's it. Basically, when the banks started bouncing a little, the markets started bouncing, the banks started pulling back, markets want no part of it. Normally the markets would pull back, but because tech is actually holding up its end of the deal today, If you look at tech, it's actually hanging in there. So that's helping the market stay up and flat. Banks headed lower, and that's the reason you can't get the banks moving higher today. So if you're watching the stock market today, granted, it's a very positive day, but it's not going anywhere until the banks kick in.
It is kind of cool to see in real time. I like that. That's neat.
Now imagine what you could do with that. You know that's to be the case from here through the end of the day.
It's true.
And you could dissect that. Now you could go to work on your Berkshire Hathaway.
Mine. That's just for Stock Madness.
Or my JP Morgan.
There you go.
Come on, JP Morgan.
That's the one you want, huh?
We keep hyping whatever the gift is, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to have that gift.
God, if I have Molson Coors go against like Berkshire Hathaway,
Oh, that's gonna be fantastic.
I'll just give up.
That's gonna be fantastic.
It'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all I got there. Let me know in the comments below, was that too far off the reservation with the option talk and everything, or did we cover something that you never heard or want to know more about? Let me know. We can talk about anything in these because this is kind of our lunchtime hanging out, chatting, so.
It's true.
Okay. And if you're a barber,
oh my God,
we have N95 masks you're welcome to wear while you cut our hair. Because we're like a couple little girls walking around just like...
Was it 3 or 4 times a day where we sit here and we're like, I need a haircut. 3 or 4 times a day we say it.
I'm happy that there's still hair there, but we gotta trim it up, man.
I need
It's looking rough. All right, we'll see you later in the closing beat, 5 o'clock live on our YouTube channel. Subscribe and all the promotional stuff. Adios.